Hello everyone, the question I get most is how the heck do I get such good reception when flying whoops inside the house, such as something like this, even at lower power, even back before we had 100 and 200 and 400 milliwatts. And unfortunately the answer is kind of multifolded. The first thing is I fly Raceband 8. Raceband 8 gets its up above Wi-Fi. I used to tell people, try it with your Wi-Fi turned off, which if you live with others can be super unpopular, but Raceband 8 gets us up above that Wi-Fi that we have in our homes and surrounding our homes and outside. That is going to get us up above that so that we have the least amount of interference. Also, if you're flying near any sort of tower, oftentimes towers will have radio signals of various sorts off of them. Cell phone towers are really bad for RF. They're super powerful and they can come and go as far as the power they're emitting. So you may find that problematic as well outside. And the second part is you'll note where I sit at the dining room table, kind of in the center of the house. If I sit down here in my little work area and I fly upstairs, my reception isn't very good. Of course, this is kind of in the center and I'm near cement walls here in the basement, and the doors opening up to that area are either a little bit away from me and there's metal in the way with our air handling system, or it's a narrow doorway. So sitting at the dining room table, that gives me the absolute best reception. Matter of fact, if I just move over to the couch, my reception degrades a little bit. The floor plan of the house is another thing that helps. With me sitting in that central area, you have the ability to receive from all over the different areas of the house that I fly. Even if I go upstairs, because I'm central and I'm in an open area, I get pretty good reception. The last part's kind of expensive. And now it's not all about the goggles. Keep in mind, if you dig back in the archive, I have been using the HD0 goggles since I think it was about January. But I've been using the rapid fire module with these basic antennas for quite a while. And obviously I run them in this configuration. This is a double axis. I use a long one to get up above my head. Our melons, our brains, we've got a lot of liquid in there. That's bad for RF. And then I have another one which could probably be a little bit longer to make sure that if I'm over here behind that antenna, that I got a little better reception. But so I run it in this configuration with the rapid fire module. I've also used the TBS Fusion, but I don't use that regularly. That's actually just kind of a backup module that I've got sitting here on my desk, and I've tested it from time to time. I think originally I was probably going to make a video about it, but I ended up not doing it. I also hear good things about the, I think it's called the Foxier Wildfire. And what those three have in common is, well, they're all kind of expensive. The module by themselves are $130+. But what they do is they blend the signal. So they're both antennas are receiving all the time, and then inside the module it takes the signal and it brings it all together so it gives us our best possible image in the goggles. Now if you're running something like this, you may be thinking, well, this is the same way. I just take an antenna, point over. This runs differently. This is antenna diversity, but it doesn't process and blend the signal. It's actually just going between the antennas to see which one has the best receiver, best signal strength. So even in some cases where you might have these, you'll find other goggles, maybe even goggles that are less expensive than these, can get just as good reception in your environment depending upon how you're facing and where the direction that you're flying. And another part of that expense, especially since January, is the HD0 goggles. The HD0 goggles are the best DVR for analog that we have on the market. This is something I talked about when I did the review. So it deinterlaces and records that signal. And you'll find that it might not be something that you notice initially, but if you look closely at other DVRs, if you slow things down, especially the OSD in analog, you can see it moving up and down just a little bit of a line. It looks like it's shimmering all the time. Well, these deinterlace and record it after it's been deinterlaced, so it doesn't have that. So the video will appear a lot more smooth. So after you've got good signal, then you've got the deinterlacing, and you've got this high quality DVR that records at a higher bit rate and a higher resolution than most other analog DVRs, if not all of them. I think all of them. That's how I am able to produce these videos, and it seems so good, high quality, or it seems like you're not getting the same quality. Also, the visual experience in here, in again, my opinion, and I guess you could call it a little bit fact in a couple of cases as well, it's just a higher quality analog visual experience in the HD0 goggles. They have 100 hertz displays in there. They probably have some of the most leading display or optics in the market currently. I'm sure one day somebody will have optics or lenses in here that will supersede these, but for right now, these are kind of the top dog, and I would be surprised if they're beaten in the short run. If you do want to see my review on the HD0 goggles, which are really hard to get a hold of because they've got really, I don't know how many back orders they still have, but my understanding is they've got pre-orders, back orders, for potentially 1,000 or more of these goggles. So unfortunately, if you do want to upgrade to these goggles, you're going to be waiting some period of time. Some people have already been waiting months to get theirs. I'm sure HD0 is doing what they can to ramp up, but so this is how I get the reception that I get. One thing I may have not covered in great detail is, where's your head? How are you facing? Which direction are you pointing your antennas, and where are you flying? It's pretty important, especially if you don't have antennas that are clearing your head and you're flying on this other side, as I talked about a little bit earlier in the video. So if you want to get better reception with any old goggles, the best thing you could do is fly Raceband 8. The next step would be to improve your antennas. This is a true RC. Sometimes I do have an AXI out here if I've got this antenna on something else. True RC makes really high quality antennas, and this is an AXI antenna. This is obviously a double AXI. You can get these from Get FPV. I think AXI is kind of their brand. Again, the rapid fire module, which can also be pretty tough to get. I do have the new Sky Zone module. It's been sitting on my desk, and I've kind of been overlooking it for a while, and I'm hoping that the weather clears sometime soon, and I'm able to get out and test that. I have tested it inside, and I do think this one also is a pretty good quality on the same sort of level, within a margin of error, I guess you would say, of the rapid fire, the fusions, the wildfires. The blending is really what our current line of hero line, expensive line of modules are all doing, and again, running the same sort of antenna configuration. In this case, both are axes, but no double axis. And some of you that may be watching this, well after the date's published, it's because you asked that really popular question about how I get the DVR image that I do, and I'm just trying to explain that. If you go back further on the channel, you'll find that I'm using the Orca, the V1 goggles. I think are they called the FPV1? And the second one was called the Pilot, I think. So Orca also has a really good DVR, at least 60 frames per second, and it's consistent. The Fat Shark DVR is pretty much the worst DVR on the market as far as hero line of goggles. Sky Zone, they came out with a V2 of their 04X, and I think the 04, is it C? Has a little more of a budget-friendly, a little lower grade on the optics. That also has a 60 frames per second DVR. 60 frames per second DVRs, it has always been really important for me, basically because I use the audio camera. I set a camera up and I do a little movie sync clap, and then I sync my camera that's just sitting there on the table near me with the DVR file. So getting that real consistent DVR with that camera is how I'm able to blend the flight audio together so that you can hear the quad. It is very, very rare that I have any quad on the channel that has an actual microphone on it. This does have a microphone in it, which you can pick up kind of ambient noise, but because of the fan is in there running, it's not terribly useful. You can hear yourself talking, but I wouldn't use it in this format. It does have a microphone jack, which I have tested, but I haven't actually streamlined into my workflow as of yet. I'm still kind of toying with that. I've kind of fallen into a habit of just carrying a secondary camera out. But I hope that covers it for the most part for most of you. Mostly a talking video about this. I just, after getting that question a lot recently, especially, I've done a few Whoop reviews, that is by far and away the question that I hear in some form or function again and again and again, and I try to type a description, and I thought, it's, after 7 years, it's about time that I sit down and I try to explain it in somewhat more detail to make it a little bit more understandable. Okay, if you have any comments or questions or suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.